Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, Slow Down with Sarah Jean. In today's video, we are going to chat all about my second home birth for my fourth baby. This has been a long time coming because my baby is now 7 months old. I do just want to give a little bit of a trigger warning that with my birth not going as planned, this may be a little bit harsh on some people listening to my story. I just want to start that off. Also, I want to say that if you're against home birth or whatever, I don't know why you'd be watching this video, but please don't leave me any negative comments about what had happened with my baby and how I gave birth, because clearly it's taken me 7 months to talk about it and it's taken me a long time to process. And I even hesitated putting this story out there because I don't want any negative comments and negative feedback. I just had that feeling of guilt, like what if I were to give birth in the hospital? Would anything have been different? I know I wouldn't have, but anyway, let's just start off by saying my birth did not go as planned. Not that you can actually plan how you want your birth to go, but I will let you guys know a little bit of a backstory. And I had 2 C-sections. So my first was induced. My oldest daughter is going to be 6 years old. So this was almost 6 years ago. I was induced because I was 4 days late. And with induction came Pitocin and lots of other interventions that led me into having an unnecessary C-section ultimately. And then I had my second baby, and that was another C-section because I was working with a midwife and I was going to go through having a VBAC at the hospital. And long story short, they did not want me to go through with the VBAC. They didn't feel comfortable because I am monitored for a heart condition that my dad has, but I actually don't have this heart condition at the moment. Like, it's just monitored. It's a long story. So the hospital just saw me as a liability, didn't want me to have a VBAC, so I ended up having I had a scheduled C-section for my second baby. And then my third child came along, and I knew I wanted a VBAC, and I wanted a home birth. I had a couple of friends who had had a home birth, and I just knew that was what I wanted for my family and I. My husband is also a firefighter, so I felt comfortable, God forbid my midwives didn't make it in time. I felt comfortable with my husband being there. So anyway, my third child was born at home, and that went amazing, even though it was a very, very long birth. And I have his birth story actually on YouTube, and I'll link that for you guys in the description. But his birth was very long, and so I was prepared for a long birth, even though I didn't really have that long of a birth. My birth was just somewhat traumatizing. So I did end up still having my baby at home. However, it just wasn't at all how I was picturing it. So let's just get to the story. And if you have any questions or you want to leave me some nice positive feedback in the comments, I would definitely take those. But like I said, if you're going to leave me any negative comments, don't, because I already feel some sort of way about sharing this. So let's get to that story. So the day I was going into labor, I was feeling some sort of Braxton Hicks, which I always have with my babies, but they were just feeling a little bit stronger. And I was like, I think that I'm going to take a nap today. And so I rested for the afternoon, and then my husband plays in a men's softball league. So we were going to his game. So we loaded up the family. We went to his softball game. And while we were at the softball game, I was like, I feel like these are not Braxton Hicks. I feel like I'm actually getting contractions. And they were somewhat painful. And so they were coming every 10 minutes or so. And thankfully my mother-in-law was there. She was kind of tending to my kids running around at the softball fields and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. Actually, my husband was supposed to have 2 games. So this was the first game. And then when the first game was over, I was like, I think that we need to go home. I don't think that we could stay for the next game. And we were all going to be leaving after the first game. My husband and I drove separately. And so my husband was going to be staying, I don't know if I worded that right. My husband was going to be staying for the second game, but I was like, I think we all need to go home. I think I need you home with me right now because I have a feeling like I'm in labor. And so I drove the kids home. My husband drove a couple of them home. I forget now because, like I said, it was 7 months ago. And I did want to do this video after I'd had the baby, but I'll get to that. Get to why I didn't share it right away. So I drive home, we get the kids ready for bed, we get the kids in bed, and I'm like, okay, I should sleep for a couple of hours because I have a feeling that this is happening. So we blow up the tub, the water tub, and I try to sleep for a couple hours. So I go to sleep around 8 o'clock, and then at the time, my 2 oldest daughters, they were coming in every single night into our bed, so they frolicked their way into the bed with us. And around midnight, I woke up and I was like, woo, feeling some surges there, you know? And then I went into the bathroom and I was like, yeah, they're coming on pretty strong. And then I had lost my mucus plug. So I'm like texting one of my best friends, she's a doula, and I'm like, is this my mucus plug? Like, what is this? Like, this is gross. And I was like, you know, even though it's my 4th baby, I still feel like when you're in labor, it's like you forget everything that has happened in the previous labors. You're just like not in the right mindset. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to like wake everybody. I didn't want to call my mom to come over. I didn't want to call my best friend. She was actually my doula for the labor. And I'm like, I don't want to make anybody all up in a stir. So then my contractions start coming like quicker. And I'm like, I should text my doula and let her know that she's probably going to be coming over. And then I text my midwife and give her a heads up. And then, now meanwhile, my husband and my 2 girls are still sleeping in the bed, and my son is in his crib sleeping. And I'm laboring in the bathroom. I'm just like, all right, I don't want to wake anybody until it's like the real deal, because my first home birth was very long. I was in labor for like 48 hours. So I was like, I don't want to make a big deal about this if it's going to be just as long. So I labor in the bathroom for a couple hours, end up calling my midwife, and I'm like, I think that you should start to make your way over. Things are picking up a little bit more. They're coming like every 8 minutes or so. I think that it's just like speeding up from here. My mom and sister come over. They take the girls into their room and try to sleep with them. So they fall asleep like a little bit, and meanwhile I am laboring with my doula was there, my midwife had arrived, and my husband, so they're all in the room. And then a couple hours go by, things start picking up a little bit more, and then by, I don't know, I say by 7 o'clock or so, I am still just feeling those really, really strong surges. And my favorite thing to do while I'm in labor is take showers. I absolutely love the pressure on my back from the shower head. And so I was just like in and out of the shower, in and out of the shower. I love the tub, so I do get into the water tub. So I was doing that, but I was also trying to walk around, trying to sit on the toilet, just trying to do all the things to try to just get the baby out. I mean, we were in the right positioning, everything was good. And then, or I think it was like 8 o'clock, and my mom and my sister were like, all right, we're gonna take the older kids out to breakfast, or back to my mom's for breakfast, and we will touch base with you in a little bit. So we're like, okay, great. So now all the kids are awake, they're ready, out of the house. And my doula leaves for a little bit. She's like, I'm gonna go home. She has a daughter, so she was taking care of her daughter and kind of getting things together at her house. And my midwife calls the second midwife. She's like, you should probably come here. Like, things are definitely speeding up. So my second midwife is on the way. And, you know, things are just rolling. And I'm in this position where I'm like on my side in the tub, and I just can't move. Like, I literally could not move. And I just kept slugging coconut waters. I'm obsessed with the Harvest Right coconut waters. And so I was just drinking those. And things are moving along. and everything's fine. My midwife is checking me, my midwife is checking the baby with the Doppler, and everything was going great, besides obviously the pain. It was definitely painful. And I don't do any Bradley method or anything like that. I definitely try hypnobirthing, and I try to have those mantras and everything going, but when I'm in labor, everything else is out the window. When I'm in transition, I don't want anybody to talk to me, and before that, I do like a little bit of like light talking, some touching, just some support. And so this was about 9 o'clock or so. Things are really picking up. I'm in transition. I'm like, do not talk to me. I'm on my side. I might be repeating myself because I just got a phone call, but I'm on my side and I just like cannot move from this position. I'm like this and I just can't move. I'll attach a little video of what I looked like. My arm was like hanging out, but yeah, I was just, I could not move into any other positions because he was working his way down.
Just like that, Sarah. Just like that.
All right, keep going.
You can see. Listen to me. Bring your baby's head down into Anthony's hand, nice and slowly, okay? Listen to me. Look at me. Nice and slow. Bring his head out nice and slow, okay? Just got that much of a stretch now, okay? You'll be holding him in a few minutes. Okay. When his head comes out, it's just gonna, you're gonna let it come out, and it's gonna turn, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna wait till it turns.
Okay.
So then my doula has arrived back, my midwife is there, and my husband, all again. And my kids are still out with my mom and my sister. And it's around like, I think it was like 9:45, and he's coming out, he is transcending. And my midwife can see his head, and she's checking with the Doppler, and everything is going great. He's coming his way out. And then she's telling me like, okay, with the next contraction, I really want you to push. And I'm like, pushing, and I'm like, he's not coming out. And with my my VBAC for my first home birth, I was pushing for 4 hours, so it was awful. It was awful. I won't sugarcoat it. It was awful. But I wasn't pushing for that long with this home birth.
That's it. Let yourself stretch. Let yourself stretch. Okay? Allow your body to open up and to release him. Nice and soft, nice and loose. Your body knows exactly what to do. Let him sit there. He knows what to do too. Okay? Rescue. Can you just end this as I say things the times? So, you just put the times.
Further out. It's further out.
I feel him.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just when I call the time.
Little head of hair.
Thank you. Oh, sweet Sarah. So you're stretching beautifully. Just allow your body to open. Okay. Yeah, his coloring looks really nice. Beautiful, Sarah. Keep his head. Yes, you can, Sarah. Yes, you can. He doesn't have to come out all at once. He's out to his, you can write out to his brows. Up above. At 9:51 and 30.
There you go. Good job. Good
7.
job. Keep going. Keep going. I can see his eyes. His eyes and nose are out.
So we're not full. Oh.
Come on, buddy. He's almost there. Here we go.
Okay. Isn't he coming out?
He is.
He is. His almost his head is almost out.
Almost.
I can't,
So
like...
Sarah, you're gonna have to open up a little bit to make a little bit of room for him.
Okay.
Just a little. Okay.
Yeah. I have nothing left.
Okay. Yes, you do, Sarah.
I've got one more left. You got it in you.
Work with the contraction, Sarah.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
I feel like I'm sick.
Okay.
And with this birth, it just felt like he was not coming out, and he just wasn't. It just was. He was like stuck, and so I'm like, he's not coming out. And my midwife is like, you just have to like open your legs a little bit, honey, breathe. And I'm like, no, he's not coming out. Like something is not right. And she's just like trying to be very supportive, and I love my midwife so much. She was absolutely amazing through this whole process, but she was like trying to be very calm and telling me like, honey, he is coming out. You just need to work with him. And I'm like, no, he's not coming. He's not coming out. And so, like I said, she's checking with the Doppler, and his heart rate was fine. And so then his head pushes out, and I think then see, this is all kind of like a blur to me, and this is where the part that gets like traumatizing. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry while I did this video because I have processed this, but the baby, the cord was wrapped around his neck so tightly that my midwife had to go in, grab him by his shoulders and pull him, yank him out of me. And he was blue. And not like the blue, like some babies come out and like they're a little blue and they're not like really breathing. Like, no, my baby was not breathing. And my midwife has been a midwife for 25 years, and to see her like panic was awful. She was like, call 911, call 911. And I'm like, she's saying call 911, like this is terrifying. And so my doula calls 911, and I am like holding my baby, and he was literally lifeless. She was like, just keep talking to him, just rub him, talk to him, say his name. And I'm like, all I kept just saying was, this is so terrifying. This is so terrifying. And like, I'm like, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Grabs like the oxygen machine and does the oxygen on him. And finally he starts coughing and screaming.
Okay, that's what I want. Okay, come on, Jackson. Come on, sweetness. Come on. Okay, come on. Okay.
He's already breathing. He's breathing.
He's still getting oxygen through the cord, okay? Listen, he's still getting oxygen through the cord.
And I was just so relieved, but I was so like just traumatized. Like I thought I was holding my baby and he was not with us. And all I kept thinking, the things that were going through my head was, what if I was in the hospital? Like what like I'm a terrible mother. What if I was in the hospital? Would this stuff happen? And then like, honestly, now I know that if I was in the hospital, this same thing could have happened, because ultimately what happened was the cord, my son's umbilical cord was like double the length of a normal average cord. And so I had wrapped around his neck multiple times and then around his body. So it was super tight. The cord was white around his neck, a tight nuchal cord is what they call it. And my beautiful baby is here with us. He's alive. He's so healthy. He was 11 pounds. 11. Y'all heard that right. I'll attach some pictures of my husband weighing this baby. He was freaking 11 pounds. So I had a VBAC after 2 C-sections, and then another, technically a VBAC, after my home birth. So it was, like I said, my 4th baby, and I had an 11-pounder. So anyway, then the paramedics show up still at my house because once the baby is, like, you can't call off a 911 call, ultimately. So then all of a sudden there's like paramedics in my room and everybody's in my room and I'm like, okay, the baby's here. Like, I just really need y'all to leave. Like, I don't want all this. This is one of the main reasons I have a home birth. I don't want all these people with me. I just want this like nice, calm atmosphere, especially after what happened to me. I don't want anything. I don't want anyone around right now. I just want my family here and my midwife and my doula. I don't want anyone else here. So they were nervous. They just wanted to make sure that we were okay and that I delivered the placenta okay. So they wait outside. And at the same time, my mom arrives with my children and my sister, and they're in my driveway as the ambulance pulls in, and the second midwife. So my second midwife got stuck in traffic, so she had just arrived with the ambulance here, and so did my mom and my sister, and my mom and my sister had no idea what was going on. So they're like absolutely traumatized by this, seeing the ambulance in my driveway as I'm giving birth at home. My neighbors were across the street. They were all frantic because they know that I was having a home birth, and it was just like overall a traumatic situation for everybody. But we cleared off the paramedics. That was fine. But then the following day, I also lost a lot of blood. So I was not feeling well whatsoever. I was very, very down. And then everything that had happened, I definitely had, I wouldn't say postpartum depression, but postpartum anxiety. I was not the mother that I wanted to be for quite a few months. I did try to take medication. It didn't work for me. Instead, I just tried some herbs and some natural remedies. And I would say that honestly, what healed me was just time to process this. And I am just very thankful that my story ended up the way it did, because it could have ended up very, very differently. And I do not take lightly what had happened to me, how God blessed me and my family. He truly, truly did. And to give you guys a little tidbit, my son's middle name is Jeremy, and he's named after my cousin who passed away 2 years ago. And I know that he was this miracle baby because of my cousin Jeremy. My cousin Jeremy was looking down on us that day, and it turned into a happy story because of him. I just know that. I know that. And so the baby is healthy. The baby is great. But the 24 hours after the baby's birth, my midwife comes back. She does all the screenings and everything, and he wasn't passing his CCHD screening. The oxygen was like all over the place. So then she's like, I hate to tell you this, but after checking it multiple times, he was not passing. And with his traumatic birth and everything that happened to him, I really think that we should go to the hospital. And I'm like, but this is why I have a home birth. I don't want to go to the hospital. And so she calls the hospital and she's talking on the phone with them, and they're saying, well, we need to come in by ambulance. And I'm like, I don't want to come in by ambulance. I have already been traumatized. We had to call 911 yesterday. I don't want to call 911 again. So we have to call 911 again and take my baby, my 1-day-old baby, into an ambulance while my little babies, like my 5-year-old, my at the time 3-year-old, and at the time 18-month-old, are watching me from the front steps. Thankfully, thank God, my mother-in-law and my mom are available and here for us, and they were here. And they're watching us from the front door, along with the neighbors again, because everybody's so concerned. And we have to take, me and Anthony, take our newborn baby to the hospital by ambulance. Thankfully, my midwife followed us there. She drove in the car with my mom. Or she drove the car, and then I think my mom and my sister followed, and my mother-in-law stayed with the kids. Yeah. And she was just so amazing through this whole process. She was there with us. She answered all the nurses' and doctors' questions and gave them all my paperwork and the rundown of everything that had happened, because I was still like in such like a trance, and I'm like, this cannot be happening to me. Like, this is not happening. So the baby was cleared. Everything was great. He passed everything with flying colors. And then the following day, we had a echocardiogram scheduled for him, and that went perfectly fine. He was well, and he is thriving. He is a 25-pound hunk of love, and he is doing amazing. And I am just so thankful that my story went this way, and everything leading up to the actual like birth went as well as it could. And I will never not encourage people to have a home birth if you can, because it is such normally a wonderful, wonderful experience. And this is why we have emergency plans, and I am not against the medical world or Western medicine. I'm thankful that we have it for when we need it. So thankful. But to be able to give birth at home is such a glorious and lovely experience. It is, I felt like I would have been more traumatized in the hospital, to tell you the truth, because of all the, I think it would have been extra freaking out, extra wild, extra crazy, extra people, and that would have been more hard on me. And so I'm thankful that everything went the way it did and that I had my wonderful supporting midwife. But if you're ever thinking about having a home birth, I 100% encourage you to have a home birth. It is such an amazing, amazing experience. And natural birth is also just, there's nothing like being able to get up after you give birth and like walk around. Not that I necessarily encourage that, but with my C-sections, I had catheters and I was wicked, obviously. I mean, you're sore with birth, no matter what. But with my C-sections, I was just like not myself for a long time. And even though I had lost a lot of blood with the baby, it did take me a while to get back into feeling like myself. And then obviously with the postpartum anxiety, it did take me a very long time to come to terms with what had happened. And do not ask me if I would have another baby, because I'm not ready to answer that yet. My husband will answer you. He'll tell you no, we're all set. We're not going to have any more babies. But I don't know. I mean, I'm only, how old am I? 31. I'm 31. So I don't know if in 4 years from now when I'm 35, I might want another one. But I think we're good for quite a few years. If you guys have any home birth questions, definitely leave them in the comments. I'd be glad to answer what I can for you or give you any recommendations or advice. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. I don't put out home birthing content, but I put out content on homemaking and cooking and lots of fun stuff here on my channel. Thank you so much for watching.